Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me. My wife and I, Jessica, drove up from Charleston this morning, and we're headed to the beach after this. So we're going to Ocean Isle after this. We're pretty excited about that to relax some. But well, thanks for having me. Again, my name's Rich Estes, and I'm the CEO and founder of HomeTrackR. And after 16 years in the real estate and construction industry, I realized that people know more about buying a used car than they do about buying the home they're shopping for. And so, excuse me. And the problem is that when people are buying a home, their hands are tied with the real estate agents. The real estate agents really can't disclose everything to you up front. And the real estate industry isn't really geared to help you find out information about a house that could be potentially negative before you actually make an offer to buy it. So if you think back about the last house you bought, if you're a homeowner, you had to make an acceptable offer on that property before you even had an opportunity to do a home inspection. And that's the case kind of nationwide. And by then you've got thousands of dollars out of pocket. You're weeks into a process before you find out that there's a few kind of skeletons in the closet with that house. And the other problem that we found is that home buyers, when they're buying a home, there's not a real easy way to find out about, say, the roof from the home inspection. The roof will say, hey, the roof's in great, or good, bad, or fair condition. But they don't tell you how old the roof is, or when it was installed, or what kind of shingle it is, and what it would cost to replace it if you needed to replace it. So those are some of the problems that we looked at with HomeTrackR and some of the things that we wanted to set out to solve with our product. So HomeTrackR is an instant digital background check on a property. And similar to what Carfax did for used cars, HomeTrackR's helped tens of thousands of people nationwide take the mystery out of buying their next home. And our application tracks over 170 million public records nationwide to uncover things like illegal construction activity, fire, water, and pest damage, future maintenance problems, the improvement value, and even the contractors who did the work on the property in the past. We've got a pretty good foothold going on across the country. We've got 22,000 users nationwide, and this map shows the last 1,000. We kind of track where the last 1,000 are. If you put all 22,000 on there, you can't see the map anymore. So give you an idea of where we've been and what we're doing. And we've gotten that traction through, mentions with big names like Chicago Tribune, working with companies like Liberty Mutual and Quicken Loans. And we're named one of the top 15 real estate tech companies of 2015 by a pretty large company called Realogy, who has all these other brands you probably recognize under there. So looking at information about houses and researching information, buying and selling, improving your home is kind of like becoming like an American pastime. And so, there's people doing it all the time on their mobile devices, online. And there's over 300 million unique people look at information about properties every single month online. So it's a massive market. There's 6 million people buy a house every year. And our goal is to reach 37,000 of those 6 million by year 3. If we do, you can see where we're projecting to be with revenue with our company. Companies like Zillow have been around since 2006, been validating this market. And in 2014, $325 million in revenue. And then just last year, they acquired Trulia. You probably know Trulia out there. And they almost doubled their revenue overnight. And so there's still really explosive growth going on with a company that's actually 10 years old. Our business model, similar to a company like Zillow, revolves around giving the consumer, the home buyer mostly, something for free. And in our case, it's our proprietary home history report. And through doing that, our consumers, they like to tell us a little bit about themselves. So we qualify them for those who are ready to buy and sell a property. And for those who are, we connect them to the real estate professionals, the mortgage professionals, the home improvement people out there that we're already doing business with to help them out with whatever need they have. A large majority of the people that come to our site aren't ready to buy right yet. They're out there shopping, they're looking for information about properties, they're just curious. And we like to nurture them, talk to them, and help them through the process, whatever they need. They need a mortgage pre-approval, if they need help with their credit, they need help just finding a real estate agent. We want to help them through that process, because you'll see here in shortly where we get paid. Come on, click, there we go. Our revenue model primarily is this real estate referral model, and it just give you some metrics what's going on with our business. For every 1,500 users that come to our site, around 30% of those register to get a report. So we have a 60-some% drop off, but 30% is actually pretty good from a web service company. And then 8% of the total say they're ready to buy and sell a house. And out of that, we end up in about 5 conversations that someone says, you know what, we're not working with a real estate agent yet. So yeah, go ahead and connect us to someone. If you know a great agent in Chicago or Cleveland, yeah, if you could do that, that would be real helpful. So we do that. So we connect them. The other part of our business model is more kind of the big data. You hear about stuff like Target knowing about what you're going to buy before you buy it. And there are a lot of companies out there very interested in knowing what's going on in your life as a homeowner and in your neighborhood. And everything about it, they're the Lowe's of the world and the insurance companies of the world are very interested to maybe present you an offer on Facebook at the right time and the right moment. And so we're working with them to make some of that happen. Our team, some bearded guys up there and a few MBAs, but I'll tell you my background, 16 years in the business, Johns Hopkins MBA. Our CTO, Justin, he's an English guy, so he's hard to understand, but he's very experienced, 25 years in the business. And Tim Wolf's the new guy on our team, and I don't know if you've heard of Blackballed, is a big software company down in Charleston, and Boomtown, for those of you who might be in real estate or looked at real estate before, they're a real estate lead gen company. They're a $50 million a year company. So a lot of experience from the technology side. Moving forward, we've been aggregating and playing around with all this public data. Now what our users have told us, and I can't wait to get some of your feedback, is they wanted to put data in. Because not all the projects are, say, on public record. You might have done some small project or something that didn't need a permit or something that you felt was just very special to your home that you wanted to share to someone, possibly when you sold it, that you thought you might get more value out of it. So that's one of the next steps for us. And then more about the predictive buying, selling, analytics, being able to recognize when someone's about to buy before they even know themselves. And in closing, I'll just give you, this is our mission. We want to create the most interactive, dynamic, and comprehensive digital experience around a real estate piece of property, a single piece of property. The house you're living in right now or the one you're going to buy. And that's our mission. And the reason that is the transparency in doing what we do, you get in all kinds of other things in your life. You get it in credit reports, you get it with, when you hire an employee, you get it looking at your babysitter, but you don't get it when you are going to buy a house. So we felt like the home buyer's been a little bit left out of this whole process, and that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to make something really, really easy to use, really cool, and by the way, it's completely free. So go check it out, sign up. We won't bombard you with too much email other than trying to get some feedback about the product. And with that, that's it.
Question? What do you need from us? Sounds like you've got it all kind of set up. So what
Well, we got a lot set up, but startups are a iterative process. It's an interactive thing for us every single day. When we're talking to potential buyers on the phone, they're telling us, hey, it would have been great if I could have seen this. And so what I would love for you guys to do is just go to HomeTrackR, sign up. I'm going to give you all the cards so you have the website and everything. And check it out. Check out your house. Check out your neighbor's house. You can be a little nosy and have some fun. You'll find out some stuff you probably didn't know, and that's one of the things that we got early on. But to answer your question, just, you know, we share it and give us some feedback. You know, we like to hear from our consumers what's going on. Yes.
My husband and I just bought a house within the last year and a half, and it was the horrible experience. I don't ever want to do it again. I would have appreciated that at the time, but what I did appreciate is when we were in the final stages of buying the house, the people that sold the house to us, their best friends lived catty corner, and she came over and said, "Hey, they left you this little list of stuff," and it was simple stuff like the pool maintenance. Just a little tip on the pool maintenance, and something like.
So you have a pool?
Yeah, there's a pool there, and it was like, which I don't want. You can take it if you want. But there was one that said that the when the air came on and off, the master bedroom door would shake. That was something I wanted to know, because that would have freaked me out the first time it happened. Because it was just the draft in the house. So
right.
little stuff like that they gave us that. We had.
And this was the owner or the neighbor?
The owner had left it with her best friend across the street to give to whoever who was going to buy. And we were in the process of finalizing the buying and stuff, but she came over and gave it to us. And I was like, that was so much helpful.
And so were real estate agents involved in all that?
There was a real estate agent involved, but they had not given it to their real estate agent. They had just given it to her to give to whoever bought it, so they would know these little tiny little, and there was a couple of little tiny little things, but that would have been helpful, and that would have been helpful here to have a place where you could write down and say, hey, you know, just so you know, when you turn the garbage disposal, it's gonna make a click, or so, you know, stuff like that would be helpful, because that would have flipped me out if the door had started shaking in the middle of the night when they were getting home. But then I knew, and my husband knew, so he went ahead and put a piece of, you know, molding around the door, and it didn't do it, so therefore we didn't think there was ghosts in the house, and it was a good thing. But
that's good.
That would have been, you said something about letting the homeowners be able to leave feedback and write, that would be good, because when you live in a house, you know a lot more than people who just walk through the house and inspectors. To live in the house, you know more.
Well, you know, I've been part of building over 1,000 homes, and I've sold and been at that real estate closing table a lot. And what I saw from an existing home is the agent is just trained to do, the agent's trained to sell your house. That's what you really hired them to do. So there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. But through that process, any of those little extra kind of non-metric stuff, you know, if they can't really put it in a box, it doesn't ever make it through that process. And so she actually, that's funny, she went to her neighbor to give it to you instead of giving it to the person that actually was paid to sell
She
her
didn't
house.
think that they would pass it on.
And
they probably wouldn't have.
It might have raised, and during the buying, when you're in that 30-day buying cycle, anything weird.
So it would raise some concern if somebody came to me and said, well, here's a list of things that might be wrong with your house.
See, then it's just about labeling. Then there are home quirks.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, then they're quirks of the house. They're not issues. They're
Character.
not problems.
Yeah, and
it's
that's
just
what it was.
quirks.
Yeah.
All homes have a little quirks.
Yeah. And buyers are moving around the country more than they ever have before, and I'm sure here.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of transient stuff going on. And, you know, you get a buyer from a different state, from the Northeast perhaps, that comes down and thinks differently about character. And they say, with this character, I'd like $5,000 off. And you know, I've seen it happen. I've done it myself. You know, I mean,
But it was stuff like she had listed that they shampooed the carpet. She was a very OCD person. She said, I shampooed the carpet once a month. That was good for me to know. With having 4 children coming in, 2 of them having respiratory problems, that was a good thing to know. Okay, I know the carpet's clean. You know, and she said, I'm very OCD, and I did this every month, and this is when we bought the light fixtures, and she had everything listed of when they bought certain stuff, so we knew how old things were. The garbage was only 6 months old. We knew that the pump on the pool was only a year old. That was good stuff that you don't normally find on a listing. So that was, I appreciated it.
and so from now you're the owner.
Yes.
Before you go to sell it, would you?
I would do the same thing.
You would put some stuff in.
I would.
And
As a
share
matter of
one?
fact, because we were in the process of selling our other house in our own house, we're still in the process of doing that. I did the same thing. I sold it to my father, but I still went through and wrote down stuff for him to know about the house and stuff, for him to know the little quirks of the house, and it's helped his renters.
Gotcha.
So that I took that and used it for somebody else, so that would have been wonderful right there.
All right, great. You had one in the back, and then we come get back to you.
Would you be the first person we go to if we are trying to buy a house? So we would contact your company, find out if you know something about that house? Is that how it works?
Right now, you can just go to our website
Mm-hmm.
and type in an address,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll find that property, and it'll ask you to register to create a small account. You know, it's going to ask you for your name and an email, and then you're going to see your report. And so you're going to get that data digitally instantly. It's going to ask you to confirm your email, but, you know, like everything else. So it's more or less, you know, an instant process. It takes 30 seconds.
So we can register practically our house with you for future references?
That's where we're headed next, and that's kind of the lady up front was bringing up. So we're building out the place right now for you, if you're home as the homeowner,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to put that information in. And it's interesting. I'll tell you a little bit about the privacy of information, which might be concerning. And you know, you're going to write all these little things in there. That is private data until you tell us you want to share it. So, you know, like insurance data is actually private data. That's between you and State Farm or Allstate, not between you and the public. All the stuff that we use right now is all public data. It's at your city courthouse, it's at your planning and permitting office and those types of things. So when it comes to you, you may just want to have that information to just organize it and put your survey in and your flood certificate and your homeowner's insurance policy and anything else that you want to put in there.
It would have helped us a lot when we bought the last house. The person put in a sprinkler system by himself, and we had absolutely no diagram. We had to wait till my husband said we have to turn the sprinkler system on and see where we all are. We had 8 different zones, and we had to go in there, and I said it would have been nice if he would have left us a little diagram.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a fence, we have a fence, and now half of the sprinklers were sprinkling towards the fence. And we had a couple of other things he did by himself when he put electricity to the shed, and it was not to code.
Right.
And all this stuff we didn't know. So that would be nice to know beforehand.
So
The catch with that is some of those would be helpful in selling it, and some of them would not be.
Yeah.
Because with the electricity not being code, that would be detrimental to
Yeah.
when you actually go to sell.
Oh,
So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
real
ahead.
estate people
Sorry.
say, oh, you have electricity there, and, you know, we said, oh, that's wonderful, because you automatically assume electricity has to be high code. And then we found out it wasn't deep enough, it wasn't secured, it wasn't, and my husband was scratching his head.
So
He said,
it was normal. So one of the biggest challenges we had, and something we got asked a lot in the beginning, was how do you know what wasn't done right? That's a tough one.
I
So
thought the inspector would have to find out.
yeah, I mean, we're not out to replace a home inspector, but you can't get that home inspection until you write a $5,000 check, and you know, and then the home inspection costs you $350, $400, and that's non-refundable whether you like it or not. So, and the information we bring in is information they don't go look for. And you could go down to your city courthouse and public records and all and research it. Maybe find it, maybe not. Maybe you'd understand it, maybe you wouldn't. So one of the last on that is we're bringing in some alerts right now and they're active, that when information is not there. So a house that's been around a long time that there's just really no public record about, and we've got 20 years of coverage, but there's nothing. That's actually, your homeowner's insurance policy is a little bit higher than you probably think it is because of that. And we know that from working with insurance companies. So that's some of the stuff we're trying to help home buyers know before they even make the purchase. And going here and coming back.
Have you ever considered, or is there any way to maybe cater to a rental market? Because like in a town like this, you have Jim owns a home, and I'm getting ready to need a home, and Jim just got PCS to Colorado, you know, and so I'm just gonna PayPal him some money every month, no just like real under the table stuff, no contracts, no, if my buddy owns a house and he doesn't want to sell it, you know what I mean? But I'm moving in here as a renter, maybe or maybe not without any kind of a lease agreement or anything like that,
Right.
so.
And from a renter's perspective, you want to know the same type of stuff?
I would.
Yeah.
I would. If there's not some kind of company to back up that I can call, if it's just my buddy,
Right.
and it's, oh, well.
And rental
You know.
properties are like, especially single-family rental properties, the landlord hires, kind of unlicensed contractors. I mean, I'll tell you how it is.
Right.
And they have to fix this and fix that, repair this, and it's kind of patched together over
Yeah.
time. There are a couple of companies in New York City doing that where they're, it's such a massive rental market, high density, lots of turnover, and there's not a lot of information, and the landlords are more oppressive, I guess, in that type of environment where the market demand is on their side, and the renters kind of just has to come and go, live with it.
Right.
So there's some things up there that are doing that. We haven't gone after the renter market because we're just 2 years old and we're just
Right.
really getting our feet wet with the market we're in. But that's a good idea. I like it.
And that would be, it doesn't have to be like a private rental agreement because, gracious, you can just go see reviews all day long.
Right.
Of people saying, I rented this house and now it's flooded and the property management won't come out and it's been 6 months and I have, standing pools of water in my kitchen. So I think that for renters and especially for high transition states or locations like ours, that would be
Yeah.
very good. I wanted to ask you, what is your marketing? How are you getting in front of potential home buyers right now?
Yeah, so that's mostly, we're still pretty small. You saw how big the team is, and we have some marketing people that come and go. But we do it mostly organic, so it's mostly just through the sharing of a real estate agent will get it, share it with someone else. And we work with those national partners, so they have millions of clients. And so what we try to do is get them to give it out as a value add for their consumers. So if you're a Liberty Mutual customer or State Farm customer, and you have a car policy, but you own a home, and they know that, but you don't have your homeowner's policy with them, the value proposition seems to work. It's like, hey, get a free home history report, check this out. No obligation, and that can spawn up some conversations and do business for them. And that's really where we're spending our time because we're really pretty small still.
How do you actually capture the data that's out there and input it into your system?
So we outsource a lot of that. My team's not large enough to cover 85% of the country, so that's our coverage area. And some of those jurisdictions are not very digital, but they're good markets, and the people we work with, feel it's important enough to get that data. Some of this stuff comes in via fax still, monthly. These are the updates to all permits in our office this month. So it's pretty cryptic, if you will, what's happening. But cities like Fayetteville, bigger towns, bigger cities have gone to some level of digital capture of that data anyway. And that just gets uploaded to that cloud that our guys are working with. We use them to make it more efficient, if you will. But it's all public data, and like I said, you can go get it yourself. Some cities, I spent a lot of time in Washington D.C. have a consumer portal that's a little easier to use, and you can just go straight there and get it. Annapolis has that, D.C. has that, and that's becoming a bigger thing. Open source community data. I mean, it's your data. So, but you can't access it. So that's kind of the rub. So that's where we fill the gap right now, and that'll change over time, I'm sure. Did I answer your question? You've had something. No, you're good. Okay, and you have.
I was just gonna say, back to when you find something that's not good, like something not to code and that kind of thing, you said you work with contractors and that kind of thing. Do you have the option of going, okay, it's not to code, but we know someone who could get it to code for a good price and all the other big deal? To kind of ease the homeowner instead of going, oh, that's not the code, then forget that house, I'm gonna go buy this house over here that's not on yours, so you won't get any off of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's perfect. I haven't really thought about it that way. So I think, you're kind of thinking about it in the moment. Hey, I'm looking at this data or this alert or this problem with our report. instead of just saying
Okay,
it's
we gotta fix
bad,
it.
here's an option to get it
Yeah,
fixed.
how
Doing
hard would
that
it be to fix
referral
it?
with a contractor,
Right.
and even having a button, speak now with a licensed contractor, or get information from a licensed contractor. It'd be simple as just putting a little tag button.
Because it may be just something as simple as, well, that's not the code, well, it takes $100 to fix it, no big deal, but I'm thinking that's electric, that's gonna take 1,000.
Right.
And I don't realize that it's gonna, so I just.
Might be less of a problem than you think. it is.
Exactly, and I may just blow it off and go to some other house that you don't get anything from it.
Right. Good. That's a great idea.
I think that would be a great idea to team up with somebody. You can say, if you have this problem, we can refer you to somebody who will help you
Okay.
to fix it, because we also have rental property, and I had to leave a big instruction for the renter to come in, so they know that this is a special stove, this is a special door, this is a special alarm, and I don't think the real estate people would do that. You
Mhm.
have to kind of put it somewhere where you know that the renters will have access to it, if you don't meet the renter face to face, which we were lucky, we could meet them and talk to them and write everything down, but if you are in another town, you need to leave this information somewhere so that your rental property will be taken care of.
Okay. Great. So, for all of you who own a home or have owned a home before, when you have a problem at your house, where's the first place you go find, somebody to come help you fix it?
My husband.
My daddy.
Honey, Facebook.
Facebook?
First thing I said is, who knows anyone who does bulletin? And then start to see the referrals, and then I take the information there, and then I back check it. Again, then I go to Google,
You go
look for
find out.
reviews and Yelp and all that.
Okay.
First
But
thing
you
I
get
do
the
is
referral
ask them.
first. Okay.
Solid social media research.
Yeah. I'm not here to promote other companies, but another company we think is doing some pretty cool stuff with community stuff like that. Go check out Nextdoor.
Yeah.
It's
They won't let me in my neighborhood. I said I live in my neighborhood.
It's more of that direct type of conversations going on.
Yeah, then if they're on, if I put it out and the people who have responded, then these are my Facebook friends, they're in my community, chances are I know them.
Right.
And so
That makes a lot of sense.
that to me is a much, much bigger referral than Nextdoor, where I don't know you. You just happen to be in the city of, 260,000, well, that's great.
Right.
But at least if these Facebook people, then it's somebody that I can go back and go, hey, I called your person and.
So on Nextdoor, they're doing something, and then Nextdoor is experimenting with a lot of capital and a lot of, fun stuff, I think. But they make you put your name in. You have to verify, which is unique from a review and community communication type of tool.
Right.
So, if you weren't friends with someone on Facebook,
Mhm.
they may see what you have, but you couldn't communicate back to them unless you decided to connect with them, right? So on Nextdoor, I could see Candy, could see your name, and I think what's happening with that is with reviews, because I have to put my name in there, now I have some moral liability of what I'm going
Yeah.
to say.
Mhm.
If I go to Yelp, I could just rip
Yeah,
it.
people are crazy, crazy on that.
Right, and so I've seen less crazy stuff, if you will, on Nextdoor. We're not sure how far we're going to go into that community stuff, or we're just going to integrate with a company like that to bring that piece to it. It just wormholes all in all, but it's good. Anything else?
Come here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
As you were talking about venturing out to where users can add comments, things that they would know, and there's been some discussion here about renters or owners being able to add what they know. Are you going to have a system where you can vet that information so that it's not somebody like the Yelp people who have an axe to grind or just have nothing better to say, or a renter who was upset because they didn't get all their security deposits back because they ruined the carpet, that
Sure.
decided to take it out on you or something? Are you going to have something in place to, since you're not just dealing with public information now, but people's opinions or
Right.
what they're stating?
So we put the renter part aside, because I hadn't really delved into that too much, but from the homeowner's perspective, we can verify your homeowner with public records. So, and you've probably gone through stuff like this if you've gone and got a new mobile phone, or you've done any type of, not a bank loan, but some minimal type of, or UU credit check type of thing. And just by knowing your address and you saying, I own that house, we can verify that really quickly, just by looking at the county deed stuff. So if you're the current owner, if we verify that you want to put information in about that property, and we're going to do some more question asking and make you kind of put a wrapper around that information. But kind of like next door, the way we think we're going to go out to market with this is, Cindy, with your name, you're the owner of that house, you decided to put that information, it was private, and then you wanted to share it out to potential buyers, real estate agents, maybe even the public, and kind of put your own little listing out there and sell your own house. It's your liability at that point. You're the one who said it, you've got your name, it's all documented. So where we see that we got to be careful is making sure you're the homeowner. The renter thing is a whole other can of worms, I think. But we feel pretty safe about the homeowner stuff. We are, if you've looked at a credit report recently, there's a credit report is kind of all the verified stuff that the GMAC or someone else gave them, but then you can put kind of your comments in. You can say, I paid them, but they still got it on here, and it just really sucks, or whatever. You can kind of have your comment. We're going to delineate that in the report. This is verified public data, and this is homeowner supplied data. So at least the consumer, whoever that is, looking at that information would have a knowledge that it's not public verified data. Some person has bias. And I think that's back to the whole real estate thing in one of her comments earlier about she didn't get the to-do list. I think that's where that problem lies. Thousands of people have told us they want to put information in there. I'm sure somebody wanted to influence it to their benefit, if not all of them. But there's no way to do it now, so that might just be something to work at.
Yeah. Okay, what can our community do to help you?
Go follow us on Facebook, would be awesome. And try our product. And if you have literally any more thoughts or feedback, or it just wasn't easy to use, or I didn't understand it, or I didn't get it fast enough, whatever it is, I'm going to give you my card, shoot me an email, and just let me know what that is. Because we put that, we're still small enough to where we take that, if not on a weekly basis sometime, and make changes to the product. So that's the biggest thing. Need some, share it, support it, and give us some feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?